there are some things to think about. But if we'd like to hear from Pierre now, Pierre, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit. You're going off in the wrong direction there, Pierre. But so what you got was, this is all very doctrinal, and it's truth. But Pierre and Mel, yeah, they encountered this in real time, in real life. And so we'd like to, in our neighborhood, mind you. I mean, who's even shocked, right?
So yeah, as John said on that day, yeah, God did make agents out of us that day. I believe that, and this is our story of the garbage cleanup day when we went out. So Mel and I we had our pickup sticks and our vests on, and we ventured out onto an excursion to head towards School Road from the church. And as we were cleaning up, there were two men in the back lane behind a dumpster. One was sleeping, and one was awake, and they had seen us. They saw me first, and they somehow knew that we were Christians. We hadn't said a word to them, but they called out to us. Well, not they, the one that was awake. The entire interaction was with the one that was awake. The entire interaction, the man who was sleeping remained sleeping right to the end of this interaction. But the man called out to me as a Christian, and he was pleading with me that to help him. And I went over to him to talk, and I wasn't too sure what to expect. I wasn't sure what was happening. I wasn't sure if it was sincere. I wasn't sure, but I knew I was out to do the job that we were doing, and to and to mention, if people asked, to mention God, bring that into the conversation. So what I gathered from this man was that he was being tormented in his heart, and what I found unusual was the fact that he recognized us as Christians and called us over, and he was telling me that he was being tormented, by spirits, and he was seeking help. So immediately, one of the things that I noticed, I didn't say anything at the time, but he had a drink on the ground. It was a beer, and it was the kind of beer that had Satan's picture right on it. Like, this guy was drink. I could see that these two men had been drinking like the communion of the devil, basically, prior to this encounter. And he had placed his hand on his heart, and he just said, "It hurts." He was tormented so bad that it physically hurt. And this was a spiritual attack on him. During our conversation, he had told me that there's some controversial stuff that he had said to us. But I'm just gonna say some things here. Don't ask me how I know these things, but this man told me that he had been to the doctor, and the doctor, he told his story, of his pain to the doctor. The doctor diagnosed him with what he called unidentified psychosis, and to when he said that, he was told that this was nonsense. This is just the doctor explaining how stupid he is. And I believe John mentioned earlier about the the psychological thing. Is that how you explained it? Psychological thing?
Yeah. Some people explain demonic activity. It's just psychological.
Yeah,
there's no spiritual.
Right, and that's what the doctor seemed to be defaulting to. But we assured him that this was something spiritual. This was a spiritual attack, and it could be handled with Christ, with Jesus. I asked this man if he was a believer, if he had known Jesus, if he had talked to him in the past, and he did know Jesus. He was familiar with Christianity. He was familiar with Jesus. I believe that he may have even attended church in the past. He was very much open to receiving prayer, and he was basically begging to receive this prayer that could free him of these demons. So yeah, at some points in this interaction, I have to say that I sort of went into autopilot, and I wasn't sure. It seemed as I felt as though, to make sense of things, that this man was going to ask me for money at some point or something like that. But he never did. This was all purely about the prayer, and that's all he was seeking. He wasn't seeking money or anything tangible. It was all about the Spirit. So so what we did was I began to pray. I offered them prayer. He accepted it. We started to pray, and during this process, you have to imagine the environment where here we are in the back lane. We're beside a dumpster. I've got my hands in the air. At this point, I've called Mel over from his area because I realized I couldn't do this on my own, and I was in unfamiliar territory, and I was acting as though I was working for God, doing His work, because it wasn't really anything I was familiar with. It was nothing that I had ever done before, but I knew what this man needed. I knew what needed to be done, and even though I had never done it before, I decided that I had to do it. And there were people, strangers in the area, in the vicinity, that were looking over, walking by, and I had to just completely ignore that part of the world. We were in our own little world here, and regardless of what anybody else was doing, whatever he might have been saying or doing, it was completely irrelevant, because we had the most important, job to do was right in front of us. So given that, we put our hands in the air and we started to pray, and you could see this man was sitting like on the ground, and you could just see the peace come over him. Eventually, there was a point where he started to talk in tongues, and it looked like meaningful words. I didn't understand them. I don't even think he understood them. But these demons that were inside him were just coming out, and they were saying things. And I just kept on pouring on Jesus Christ. I just kept pouring it on, and I knew that these demons had no power over me, and I was not afraid of this. And even though this was completely, weird, bizarre, we just kept on going. We kept on going until he was feeling better, and that was my goal, to overcome these demons in him. And you could see over time with the prayer, it took a long time. I think we spent a long time. We came back an hour late for lunch and missed everybody to tell you that day of. But eventually he did. This man settled down. He seemed relieved. He seemed to be more at peace, and he seemed to be grateful. And after that happened, we started to go into what was more of a normal conversation, just about normal things, and it was really surreal.
The man, he was from Garden City and up north in the reserve there. And I remember taking for my diploma course in the U of M in agriculture that we had a presentation on Garden City and all of the needs up there in agriculture type of thing, and the contributions that a certain group came in and gave them. So God was already preparing my heart for this situation back in university 5 years ago, and so I knew where he was from and what he was facing there, he got taken out of Garden City because of fires, and he got brought to Winnipeg. And the first thing that he mentioned, that he found Winnipeg to be very intimidating, basically coming from a rural area to a city, and then along with the, I think he actually said that there were demons here type of thing. Mm-hmm. That was quite something to see.
And we should give this man a name. I don't mean to interrupt you. We should give this man a name. He identified himself as Zacchaeus.
Right.
So his name was Zacchaeus.
Yeah.
Here you mentioned to me that he spoke of himself in the plural, of himself in the plural.
That's possible. My memory of the event is not, I have memory of the event, but not all those details. I do remember him, sort of passing out a little bit during the prayer, where his eyes, closed, and it didn't last very long, but he didn't fall over or anything, but it seemed as though he was, transitioning, and the conversation did transition to a more normal conversation where there were no tongues, and he seemed more at peace, and he didn't comment anything about the pain that he had anymore. Yeah, he also mentioned that the doctors had wanted to give him medication for this unknown psychosis that they were trying to call it, and I believe someone had said to him that he didn't need that medication, but he just needed prayer, and he was open to the idea of coming to the church and praying more and maintaining that relationship with God.
He recognized that he needed somebody to help him. Like he was at the point in his life where he had tried everything himself and wasn't getting anywhere, and so for him to speak as fluent as he did under the influence and reaching that point of comfortableness to speak with somebody else about and share his life experience and what was going on and what was bothering him and what was keeping him from Christ was truly amazing. We knew that he was ready.
And he was a brother. We started talking to him as a brother, and I believe that he was, feeling that brothership with us. And after that, we didn't say anything about at the beginning about the drink, but at the end, we mentioned to him that consider stop drinking this stuff, because this is not something that's biblical or from God. This is from the opposite side, and this is how the demons are getting into your body. So it's one avenue that they're getting in, and his mind seemed to really open up to that truth, and I believe that he'll reconsider drinking. Yeah, praise God. So it was God's work, and glory to Him for His power that He had over those demons. Like I said, Mel and I were just both doing His work, and it was great having the two of us as a team, because I could have never done it on my own. There were things that Zacchaeus had said to me that I didn't understand, but Mel did. And do you remember that? Do you want to fill them in on that part? Because that part was a bit strange to me, and I didn't fully understand it, but maybe you could explain it.
I actually can't remember.
Well, the point is that between the two of us, we seemed to be able to cover everything that needed to be covered.
Yeah. That was a good